What if Downton Abbey's final curtain call isn't just an ending, but a reckoning? A legacy built over 15 years across 6 seasons and 3 feature films is about to conclude. And yet, the biggest question isn't how it ends. It's whether one of the show's most vital characters, Lady Mary, will get the farewell she truly deserves. This September, Downton Abbey, the grand finale, will hit theaters, closing the chapter on a beloved story that has captured audiences worldwide. But fans who've been with the show since the beginning have growing concerns, particularly about Lady Mary, played by Michelle Dockery. She's long been a central force in the series, elegant, complicated, and fiercely independent. And now many worry that her story might not receive the meaningful conclusion it deserves. Much of that worry comes from how her storyline was handled in Downton Abbey, A New Era. That film introduced some major cast changes, and Mary's narrative felt noticeably thin. Her husband, Henry Talbot, was nowhere to be seen. The excuse given? He was off tending to his racing interests, an explanation that felt hollow to a lot of viewers. Without him, Mary's presence in the film lacked depth, and it seemed like the writers weren't quite sure how to use her without her on-screen husband. Now, heading into the grand finale, the official cast list has been revealed, and once again, Goode, who plays Henry, is not returning. That stands out even more when nearly every other key player is back. Hugh Bonneville as Lord Grantham, Laura Carmichael as Lady Edith, Jim Carter as Mr. Carson, even Paul Giamatti is returning as Harold Levinson. But no Henry. That raises eyebrows, because it hints that Mary could be sidelined once again, with her romantic life unresolved or, worse, dismissed altogether. Previously, Goode's absence was due to his work on The Offer. This time, it may be a scheduling conflict with his new project, Department Q. Whatever the reason, his absence poses a creative dilemma. How do you conclude Mary's story in a way that feels satisfying without Henry? Using the same old excuse, he's off racing or on business, risks feeling repetitive. And worse, it might reduce Mary to a supporting role in her own narrative. This is the final chapter of a major franchise. Her ending has to feel earned, thoughtful, and emotionally true to the character fans have come to love. But the good news? Mary doesn't need a man to have a powerful ending. She's endured heartbreak before. Remember, her first husband, Matthew, died tragically. She's led Downton with strength, survived personal and social shifts, and proved herself time and again. This could be the perfect moment for the writers to show her fully stepping into her independence, embracing her future with clarity and purpose. Her final arc could be about redefining herself, not through romance, but through leadership and personal fulfillment. It's essential that whatever direction they choose for Mary, it honors her depth. She's never been one-dimensional. She's sharp, loyal, emotionally complex, and proud. Giving her a weak or rushed conclusion would not only shortchange the character but would feel unfair to the fans who've followed her journey for more than a decade. Of course, Mary's story is just one piece of the larger picture. The grand finale isn't just another movie, it's the end of a saga that started in the aftermath of World War I. So it's fitting that this last chapter is set in the 1930s, a time when the world was once again on the brink of conflict. Back then, Britain was still reeling from the Great Depression. Even the upper class wasn't immune to economic pressures. That opens the door for compelling storytelling. What does it mean to maintain a grand estate like Downton when times are tough? The Crawleys have adapted before, but the financial strain could test them in new and unexpected ways. Mary, now effectively head of the household, will be at the center of those decisions. The 1930s brought major shifts in technology, gender roles, and society at large. Navigating all of that while trying to protect Downton's legacy won't be easy, but if anyone can do it, it's her. Tom Branson, too, could take on a larger role. As someone with working-class roots and strong political views, he's uniquely positioned to reflect the growing unrest across Europe. With the rise of fascism and the slow march toward World War II, Tom's voice could bring much-needed perspective. He's always walked the line between being one of the family and representing broader change, making him the perfect lens to explore that era's tensions. Meanwhile, the downstairs staff would be dealing with changes of their own. By the 1930s, domestic service was in decline. Better-paying jobs in factories and shops were pulling people away from households like Downton. Carson, whether retired or not, might struggle to keep the house running. The staff could be reduced, and the future of the old way of life would hang in the balance. And characters like Daisy, who's always been ambitious and forward-thinking, might finally strike out on their own. Perhaps she and Andy start a business or move to the city. Watching her chase a new dream after years of loyalty to the estate would be incredibly satisfying. Then there's Edith, now a Marchioness, running a magazine and moving between the worlds of tradition and modernity. The political unrest of the era could see her caught in controversial journalism, reporting on rising tensions and facing backlash, maybe even from her own family. Yet even with all these layers, one of the most emotional threads is the idea that Downton Abbey might conclude where the early 20th century did, right on the edge of another world war. That brings everything full circle. The show has always been about time, about evolution, and the inevitability of change. So as the screen fades to black for the final time, what will stay with us is how well this last chapter is told. Lady Mary deserves more than a cameo or a convenient ending. She's the beating heart of the series, and how her story wraps up will shape how the entire franchise is remembered. If the filmmakers can strike that balance, giving us a finale that's both nostalgic and forward-looking, then Downton Abbey won't just be ending. It'll be taking its place in history, exactly where it belongs.